What is up, everybody? I am Majestic Marie, your host. Welcome to Peaches and Power Bombs. I have a very special guest with me today. He hasn't been on the show in a hot minute. How are you doing, Tom?
I thought you were going to introduce Sting. I thought that's who we were talking about,
Oh,
was
yes,
Sting.
Sting.
I'm doing great. I'm in the intro to your show. I don't know if I knew that. I'm like, not as gray, and I got a Wu-Tang shirt on. What a great little clip that was. So, very nice of you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's like I said, it's been a while since you've been here. I know you've been pretty busy lately. Tell me about how all of your projects are going.
Well, if anybody's watching now or after the fact, first of all, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you. But if anyone's watching now or after the fact, follows the main event, I haven't been here in a long time. I've not given up the show. It's just a matter of trying to find time. It'll be a new time slot. Fridays at 5 are not working. So there'll have to be a time slot created at some point. Just got to circle back to it and figure out what I'm going to do from there. But I've had a lot of people reach out. So thanks to everybody who's reached out. I appreciate you very much. The 6M podcast, if you know anything about it, kids, it's all geek culture / pop culture, movies, music, Marvel magazines, miniseries, and more. One day I'll forget one of those words, I'm sure. We're still going with that show. We just released Beverly Hills Cop 3 today. New episodes every Tuesday. Episode 180 came out today. So pretty hyped to still be doing that. And then the other show is Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. We just wrapped up our review of season 2, and we posted the season 2 rundown this past Saturday. So now we're on to season 3. So look for that in a few weeks. But yeah, trying to stay busy with the side hustles wherever I can. As you know how that works. So
Our good friend Elvis is here, and he says, Tom, hello there. Marie, acknowledge me. Missed you, Tom.
what's up, B? How you doing, man?
Oh, man. Good stuff. All right, so before we get into Revolution and talk about the man of the hour, I do want to recognize that it is March the 5th. And March the 5th is a special date to me because 2 years ago, I got to go to Revolution and I got to meet somebody. So I just wanted to recognize that. So
Anyway, you know what gave me the courage? And this is me not kissing your people's asses. But when I had 4 separate people come up to me and tell me that they didn't end themselves because they read my Players Tribune article, did you really think I was going to miss that pay-per-view for them?
that happened 2 years ago today. So I had to throw that out there. So Revolution has always been a special show for me. So I am so happy that everything went as well as it did. How did you feel about the show?
First of all, hats off to you. Glad to hear that's a milestone. So well done.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's tough. And real kids, if we can be serious for a minute, remember that one. But mental health is a big deal, folks. And if you are not dealing with yours, the time's come. Don't let it wait, because I'm telling you, things will fester and boil to a point where you don't know what's coming. You'll get blindsided. Trust me, I know. I've been seeing a therapist for going on 3.5 years now, whatever the number is. It's done wonders for me. So I always advise it. If that's not your thing, talk to a friend. Try to get some perspective from somebody. But reach out. Don't let things get too far gone. So there's my 2 cents worth on that. It is. I really thoroughly enjoyed the show. I'm one of those guys who, I'm not in love with everything that company does. I'm never going to defend that company from top to bottom.
Right.
But in terms of what I personally enjoy watching, I love New Japan. I really enjoy AEW when they're on their game. I think they're a very solid company. I thought Saturday's show was top notch, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know where I rank it or if I've even thought about how I'd rank it or anything like that, but holy Lord, so good. And for any critics out there that hate on them and claim they'll be dead and gone in 5 years, I'm like, have you bothered watching any of the shows, for crying out loud?
Right.
Oh, so good. So good. What about you? What was your takeaway from it?
I was I was just so thrilled. I mean, for the first time in a long time, it seemed like there was no like bad media or bad press that was looming over the show like it has been, for the past year or so. And everybody was positive. Everyone just wanted to give Sting his night. And it was about him and making sure that he got the proper send off that he absolutely deserves. And I think everybody gave everything that they had on Saturday. And I don't even know if I can pick which match was my favorite. I mean, besides,
It's tough.
your favorite wrestler is on it, of course, so that's always going to stand out. But just from a pure performance standpoint, I don't know if I can even pick one that was better than the others.
I think each one outdid the next. For me, there wasn't a weak spot on the card. That's me talking, but
No.
I don't think there was a weak spot. And honestly, we'll get to it when we get to it. But as far as the Sting thing goes, can I be real? I was looking for him to do the job in the end, not because I felt any kind of way about the Bucks, because I don't. And honestly, if Sting had been asked, what would you rather do? I mean, I don't know the man, but you would think, as being a veteran and being an all-time Hall of Famer, the guy would have said, I'll do whatever you need me to do. So the fact that they let him go over, they put him over, and the way that they did and had his sons out there, oh my God, freaking amazing. We should all get such a send-off
Right.
when it's time to leave whatever we're doing. Do you know what I mean? Oh,
Right,
man.
right.
Awesome.
Can you even think of a time in wrestling when someone got to go out like that?
No. The only thing I compared it to was Flair and WWE when they brought him out for like that curtain call on Monday after WrestleMania when he lost to Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
But that's colored because Rick didn't want to leave.
Right.
That was Vince basically. Oh, you're going, pal. You're going. Rick's like, but I'm not. Didn't matter. He said, you're retiring and that's it. And Rick kind of had to just go along with it. So had that not been the case, maybe I would say that night, but I can't think of another one. Edge went out on top when he left, didn't he?
Yes.
Didn't he win? Yeah. So
Yes.
he went out on top. So
But
maybe
it still wasn't his choice. It was because he was hurt to the point where he had to.
Had to.
And, Sting, yes, he's in his 60s, but he's still pretty healthy. He still looks strong. And, my dad is looking at this show and he goes, me and, Sting are almost the same age, and there ain't no way I could be doing the things that he's doing right now. It was absolutely crazy. So
yeah, he was fantastic. I mean, fantastic. The guy he found the fountain of youth, and he's not sharing the secret with anybody else. So
right.
Amazing. And after the first few times in that company when he took crazy bumps off of ladders or whatnot, we're all holding our breath.
Yeah.
After about a year, I'm like, I'm not holding, but this guy's good. I'm not worried about him anymore. Like,
right.
man, so.
My dad and I went to Revolution a couple years ago, and Sting and Andrade went through two tables like directly below us, and we were like, ah!
Wow.
So that's a really cool moment that we'll always remember, I hope. So
yeah, for sure.
All right, so are you ready to get into the show?
I'm ready.
All right, everybody, if you are here, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Peaches and Power Bombs. Tell your friends about us. Let them know, come on in. We're going to talk about some Revolution. And we're going to go ahead and get through some of these comments real quick before we get into the show. I'm sorry. Montrese is here, and she says, good to see you, Tom. Nice to meet you, Marie. Nice to meet you as well. Welcome to Peaches and Power Bombs.
Montrese is a long-time main event watcher. That's my girl. And do me a favor, go look at her Facebook page when you get a chance. Her kids are absolutely just works of art. The prettiest kids you've ever seen. I'm not overselling that either. I promise you. It's crazy. Good to see you, Montrese.
And Ray All Day is here, and he says, "What's good? Adam Cole is king. Will Ospreay was best match, and Tom Clark my BFF, and Orange is 11 pounds."
Ray's such a hater. What's up, Ray? Good to see you.
He's been my partner in crime for the past couple Wednesdays on the tailgate party. He has been
Awesome.
coming on and helping me do the Dynamite reviews. So
Very cool.
Shout
Very
out
cool.
to him. It's great to see you again, Tom. Marie, it's always great to see you too. Well, thank you very
Sugar
much.
Shane. Shane,
Yeah.
good to see you, my friend.
Yeah. We have the gang is almost all here. Just a few missing.
Close. It's close, yeah.
All right. So I'm not going to do 0 hour, if that's okay.
That's fine.
For the sake of time. We have a lot to get through. So starting off on the main card, we had the TNT Championship with Christian Cage versus Daniel Garcia. There were a lot of shenanigans in this match. Quite a bit of interference, but in the end, Christian Cage swooped in and got the win, and he retains. It was good. To me, I don't know. Christian Cage has always been good, but I don't know. This has just been his best work so far that I can remember. What are your thoughts?
It's the only thing behind it for me is the one more match in WWE thing. All I need is one more match. That to me was crazy entertaining and very fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that Christian. When he was spitting on Randy, they couldn't make contact, and he spit.
Yeah.
So good. This guy's a freaking genius. He gets all the heat in the world. He didn't have to wrestle, and he could just come out in that stupid turtleneck and just.
Yes.
It's freaking great. I mean, and I'll do one better. To me, on any given night, he's the best heel act in the business.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
You can debate whatever you want to debate, kids, but for me, put somebody up against him, and that I think Christian blows him out of the water every time.
Yes. Christian Cage has absolutely been knocking it out of the park lately. I do think that his circle is getting a little too crowded, but that's just me being nitpicky. But it's just a little busy, and I get confused sometimes on who's on his side and who's not. Daniel Garcia, though, I didn't like him at first, but I think that's just because he was still figuring things out, working on himself, trying to figure out who he wanted to be on screen and everything like that. And I think he's really figured it out. And I'm happy to see what's next for him.
I like Daniel a lot. This sounds like criticism right out the gate. For me, Daniel Garcia has always been missing something, and I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. I'm not suggesting it's a hat, it's a gimmick, it's a catchphrase. I don't know if it's any of those things, but from my chair, when I watch him, I'm like, love his work. There's something not clicking for me, and I can't put my finger on it. And I guess when the time comes that it does click, we'll all go, holy crap, I get it now. This is great. But I don't know that we're there yet. The dancing's cute, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I would like to see him not turn that on certain nights. Like if it's, tonight TNT title. Well, then don't, be focused. It's all showbiz anyway. So what's it matter? But in terms of the character work anyway, he's giving the fans what they want. So I can't argue too much with the point. They pop every time he does it. It is what it is. But, I don't know. In that company, it's a little bit tougher. I would assume. In order to okay, we've identified this guy, he's our next guy. Yeah. In some companies, that's decisions made by 1 to 4 people, maybe behind the scenes. This is our guy. We want him to be here. Let's get him there. I don't know if that conversation's been had with Daniel. If it has, awesome. But again, to me, he's missing something. But again, I can't quite point it out.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's starting to slowly win me over because, like I said before, I didn't really like him at all to begin with. It was just now he's showing a little bit more emotion while he's out there. Before it was he was stone faced, and I was like, okay, is this guy a robot or what? I don't know what his deal is, but he is starting to show a little bit of what he's thinking, what he's feeling when he's wrestling. Now, if he could, translate that more into I don't know, a promo set, show me who you are
Mm.
type of thing. I would really, I think that might be what's missing is he hasn't really shown us who he is yet.
Yeah, that's fair. Like I said, hopefully he'll get there. One of the things about a company that doesn't have too many titles floating around, and that's one of the things said about AEW is they got too many titles. I'm like, I don't know, man. You look at a company like New Japan who has more titles than AEW. I don't personally look at it as you're diluting championships, in my opinion. You're just giving different tiers of guys different prizes to fight for.
Right.
Like, not every guy is going to be able to fight for the world title or the TNT title. So it's a good thing the international title's there. It's a good thing that there's, there's other things in place that you guys can contend for, and the women as well. I'm still waiting for women's tag team titles.
Yeah.
So yeah, but for me, that's part of it.
But yeah, overall good match. And were you surprised that there was no Adam Copeland at all during this?
A little bit. And how much of this is Adam and how much is it them? I don't know. But like, maybe he and Christian need to be hands off for a while because we've done that. There's so many other matches that Adam's not had, which he's made a point to say that in like every interview, people that he wants to work. So let's start making those things happen. I will say about the Daniel Garcia thing, they had that spot in the ring a few weeks ago, whatever it's been now, and Copeland had the last word. And when he goes to walk away from Garcia, he threw the mic or threw something at him like twice, and I'm like, somebody tell this kid the spot's over. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It's like very nuanced little moments of, you can see Copeland possibly thinking, all right, that's enough. We did what we came here to do. Now I'm walking away. Let me walk away. That kind of thing. So maybe that's me reading too much into it, but I'm a big fan of Copeland, man. I think I talk about someone that's still got a lot left in the tank. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I was kind of surprised he wasn't there.
Yeah, I was enjoying his cope open is what he was calling it.
Can't say it. It's ridiculous.
And they were a lot of fun. I think they were mostly on Collision too. He had a really good match with Dante Martin, and it was fun to see him in the ring with Suzuki as well. So.
Oh yeah, God, that guy. Jeez. Love him. You're so welcome, by the way. Without me, you wouldn't be turned on to any of those cats, man. You're so welcome.
Oh, yes, thanks.
The Briscoes and the Japanese guys. I made that happen.
You sure did.
That's right.
You sure did. Shane says Daniel Garcia needs to be like Dean Malenko. He's a pure wrestler, not a sports entertainer.
That's what he's doing now, I think,
I heard that Dean Malenko backstage is absolutely hilarious, and
I can see that.
His co-workers were actually saying, "Hey, dude, why don't you do that out there?" And he never did.
I can totally see that. Yeah, some guys just aren't comfortable doing that stuff on camera. It's not who they want to be. The whole, what was the story about where the what came from for Steve Austin? It came from Christian, because Christian was just leaving stupid voicemails on his phone, and they were going back and forth. I think is how the story went, and that Austin started doing it back and forth to him on voicemail, and then Christian calls him up and says, "You need to start doing that in the ring. That's money. Like, that's something you need to start doing on the mic. That's great." So
like Christian's fault.
Right. Yeah. I don't quote me. I'm 90% sure that's what it was. But yeah, some guys I think they're not comfortable doing that. They feel like they have to be a certain kind of way, carry themselves in a certain way. So, excuse me, choked up. So yeah, maybe that's Malenko too.
Who knows? It was a good match.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Next up. Yay.
Couldn't get here fast enough, could it?
I know, right? The Continental Crown, Mr. Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson. I love this match. It was perfectly imperfect is the way I'm going to put it.
Well
because
said.
It was a legit fight. They made it look like a real struggle, and that's what I always love about Eddie Kingston matches is he makes it look like he's, in a real fight. So, yeah, what else can I say about this match? A billion things, but I'm going to hand it off to you.
You're gonna let me take the lead on this? I'm shocked by that.
I know.
William Regal's always said that the way he worked is, I hit very hard in safe places. Yes. And if anybody's followed that train of thought, it's absolutely Bryan Danielson, 100%. Bryan hits very, very hard in safe places that won't put you in the hospital.
Right.
But when he hits, holy Lord, I mean, there was several moments during that match where I'm like, this might be getting a little sticky, or they want you to believe it's getting sticky. And I can't decide which one it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, if Eddie had lost, it's not the end of the world. Guys lose, can't win every match, and eventually he's going to lose these belts. It'll happen eventually. Yeah. If he had lost Sunday, it is what it is. But when you're doing character work for a guy or a girl, and you have made statements like, I fight the odds, I've come back from being at my lowest, I'm the underdog, blah blah blah, and you're doing that layer, laying those textures on top of that character. And then you rug him, just pull it right off from underneath of him for no good reason. That's why people get upset. It's not just, I think it has more, it's a lot more than I hate this company and pro wrestling sucks. I think it's more that I invested in this guy, you made me care, and now it's over. Like, why did you take me on this trip? When things end when they need to or they should, it's a different story. Do you know what I mean? But yeah. And again, there's exceptions. There's things have happened in that company that are funky and weird, but I don't recall a moment where I'm like, wow, that was too soon. What were they thinking? So,
right.
Again, if Eddie had lost, not the end of the world, but I'm glad that he won. Did you see the spot afterward in the training room with those guys?
Yes. Yeah.
So good.
Oh man.
So good.
Danielson saying that it was his fault for not giving Eddie the recognition that he deserved sooner, and that he had his blinders on, his preconceived ideas. That was something right there.
For sure. The BCC continue to puzzle me because I can't tell at any given moment what any of them are doing. Like, well, you need to cheer for us because we're great. And it's like, I hate that guy, I'm going to kill him. And it's like, yeah, but we love that guy too. I don't care. I'm going to rip his eyes out. So
I think that's the point.
I guess so, right? I mean, they're not the only act in that company that does those things, and we'll get to that. But like, it's just a very interesting thing. I say BCC forever. I never want to see that faction end. It will eventually, but man, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Such good stuff. But yeah, this match was. If you came away from this match saying you didn't see something you expected, I don't know what you expected. For them to hit each other with a bus, I don't know. Because, man, they did everything I thought they would do and then some.
Yeah, I heard a lot of garbage about this match. Either it was too slow, and I'm like, it was too slow. I thought it was fine the way it was. Every other match was going a million miles an hour. So it didn't need to be going that fast. Number two, I hear all the time about Eddie looking sloppy or scrappy or whatever, and I'm like, that's the whole point. He looks like he's trying to be in a legit fight. It's not supposed to be this gorgeous, beautiful ballet dance, okay? It's supposed to be ugly. So that's what he's aiming for.
Every other guy in the 80s looked like Eddie Kingston. I don't know why we're so upset. I don't get it. Like, not everybody looked like the Warlord of the Barbarian back in the day. People looked more like Ricky and Robert. They looked more like Wahoo McDaniel. They looked more like, Ivan Koloff, for goodness sake. There weren't chiseled guys that were streamlined 140 pounds or some nonsense. Like, Eddie's a real person, he's a real person.
Eddie looks like your uncle that works at the machine shop down the street, and a really sweet guy will give you the shirt off his back, but if you mess with him, come to toes with him, he's going to kick your rear ends.
Yeah. It's what works for him. And funny how he feuds with Danielson, that's how Danielson rose to prominence in the other company, he was that guy. He wasn't supposed to be there. He was never supposed to be champion. They didn't want him there. And the fans got behind him, and Daniel didn't look like much, and he's too short, and he's too this, and he's too that. Like the same was said of Austin, the same was said of Dusty. I mean, the everyday common common man, blue collar guy works in the business. It'll never not work.
I know. I think it's just because the other company has trained people to expect a certain thing. And they don't understand why the exact opposite resonates with people. Like,
it's like having a history of bad girlfriends and you get a new one and you just know she's going to hurt you and betray you like the other four did. Do you know what I mean? Because you're conditioned to expect the worst. I think you're dead on with that. I think that other company has conditioned fans for years. Like, that's why Sting's sons didn't get destroyed, their head shaved, cut open, their arms ripped off. Sting's grandfather in the front row didn't get pie face. His mom wasn't there and got her head slit or whatever. I mean, and they forced Sting to eat dog food in the ring, and let's kiss his butt on live TV, and let's humiliate him and leave him in a smoking carcass in the middle of the ring, left for dead. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. I also want to point out how people like to talk about Eddie, and the most people who are talking about the way he looks are guys, are the ones who's putting him down, saying, "Oh, he's out of shape," blah 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 blah. But if you ask straight grown women, oh yeah, he looks pretty nice. So who do you want to listen to?
Yeah, if you're carrying around a few extra pounds, don't call anybody fat, dude. What are you doing? Like, come on, what are we doing there? Yeah, and plus people have to remember, again, for the people in the back, none of this is real. I mean, your favorite didn't win. Sorry, it's not who they wanted to win. Like, and Eddie looks a certain way. All right, if Eddie were ripped, would you like him? Probably not. Like, come on.
You'd find something else to complain about. So
100%.
Maria sent you the interview Bryan Danielson did after the match with him and Eddie Kingston together. It's a must watch. Yeah, I don't remember where I saw it from. It might have been from your message, Shane. So thank you so much for sending that. And next up, I have mixed feelings about this. It was a all-star scramble match. Jericho versus Powerhouse Hobbs versus Lance Archer versus Wardlow versus Dante Martin and Hook, Brian Cage, and Magnus. What did you think of this? I have mixed feelings.
First of all, I don't know much of the background on Magnus. That's my fault. But let's hope he asked Nick Aldis if it would be okay that he calls himself Magnus. I don't know. I liked it. I don't know if I loved it, but I liked it. All I can say to you is meat, because man, that was fun. Oh my God, that was so fun. And again, on a show where Danielson faced a guy that looks like Eddie, on a show where there's, a show there's women, there's super heavyweights, there's cruiserweights. You got the big beefy guys. I mean, it's a little bit of everything. Pro wrestling at its best is a variety show, and it's a little something for everybody. So those spots thoroughly entertained me. Jericho's getting booed because of stuff that Jericho did not do as a character. Jericho's getting booed for stuff outside the ring. So that's even in front of the North Carolina crowd who, love their favorites and whatnot, and we know who we like down here or whatever, but like crowds around the country are really starting to turn on this guy, and I think eventually you're going to have to turn him heel. You don't have to do anything, I guess, but I think Dante was out of place here. Magnus was out of place as well. This is a scramble match to determine number one contender for the world title. Not sure why a guy like Magnus would even get a spot like that, but I didn't hate the match, but I wasn't in love with it either.
Especially since Magnus is with CMLL, right? Yeah, that was a little weird. Yeah. Them two did win qualifying matches on Rampage and Collision. So there is that. So at least there was like an earning spot or whatever. But since you said something about, hold on a second, let me take that off for a second. since you said something about the meat.
Meaty man slapping meat.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
I'm kind of on the fence about Wardlow winning. I'm glad they're doing something with him, but is this the right time? Is the question. We have a star waiting to burst and shine in Swerve Strickland right now. He's chomping at the bit. He's waiting. He's ready. He's just waiting.
I don't know how deep anyone in that company's getting with this, but here's and we haven't got there yet. My quick input on the Swerve thing. I freaking love Swerve. In my opinion, you cannot put the title on that guy Sunday night.
No. That was it. The way they did that was perfect. I was happy
for sure.
with that.
Yeah, but like I saw people upset that he didn't win, and I'm thinking, I think people are missing the point. The point is not, but you're right. It is very much. He's got to be the next champion now.
Yes.
If the idea is we're going to throw Wardlow in as we have to get Joe to a certain pay-per-view or we're trying to move things out, I totally get that. And at some point, MJF's going to be back. Don't know when that's going to be. At some point, Adam Cole's going to be healthy, and I assume he's going to be healthy for a month before he actually comes up out of that chair. And it'll be a surprise when he comes out of the chair. But it's a good question. I mean, I like Wardlow a lot. Dude's got to get that hair grown back out because yikes.
Yes.
But
he was like Samson, just like Samson. Once it was gone, he lost all his strength and his magic. So
all the magic's gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. See, that's the thing is that I figured the way I was looking at it, I was like, okay, Samoa Joe is probably going to retain because it's Sting's night. You don't want anything combating for the spotlight, and it definitely should be on Sting. So let's wait until like double or nothing ish for Swerve to get his moment.
Yeah,
that leaves that leaves a 2-month bracket. We need to give Joe something to do. So I figured that Jericho would have won this match. He can lose to Samoa Joe and it not hurt anything. If Wardlow faces Samoa Joe right now and loses it, I think that might be the final nail in the coffin. I don't know. Because he's been through a lot and his character has suffered a lot. And he's trying to bring up what little bit he has left out of the grave. But yikes. It's a tough spot. Unless they just keep him waiting. Like he keeps, like kind of like the Money in the Bank contract, where, the bad guys hold on to it for a while. Maybe he holds on to his title shot for a while. And he's just kind of lurking until the right moment.
Yeah, that's fair. And I can see where you're coming from. But what I would come back with is, I don't know if a loss to Samoa Joe, even if you're Wardlow, is going to hurt Wardlow. And if you're Chris Jericho, I don't know if you want to face Joe right now. Because Jericho's already getting booed out of the building. And they would destroy him against Samoa Joe. That crowd would be relentless in Joe's corner, which is probably not what that company really wants right now. So
that's true. That's true. We want everybody to get on Swerve's side when he finally goes up against Samoa Joe, probably.
Yeah, so. And I think that'll happen eventually. But like, I like Wardlow a lot. And if the only reason you did this was because we're trying to put some shine on the Undisputed Kingdom, I can understand that. Because now for however long it takes for Wardlow to get this title shot, they can come out on live TV and say, hey, new international champion, hey, my boy right here's got a world title shot, and hey, we got tag team champions, and hey. So if that was the goal of it, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
If Wardlow loses to Samoa Joe, what do you do with him? Because you'll have to do something with him right away for him not to die.
Well, he's with the group. I think if he weren't with Undisputed Kingdom and he was a loner, I might be sharing your sentiment on that. But I think since he's with those guys and you can immediately plug him in somewhere else, whether it's a 6-man or whatever that looks like, I don't know if I feel like it kills him. I mean, I think there's other things you can do with him, but
So you like him in that group? You wouldn't want him to break away?
I don't know. I don't know if I say I'd like him in that group because this is his second group, right after the Pinnacle, I guess.
Yeah.
So eventually, I mean, because right now it kind of feels like it's a Lex Luger situation where, we're keeping him in the Horsemen and we're putting him in there to get some stuff on him. But then like he comes out of the Pinnacle and the whole thing with him and MJF and God, he was so hot against MJF,
Gosh,
man.
yeah.
Red hot. People, I forget what episode it was, but his music hit and they blew the doors off that building on TV. I'm like, oh my God, he's so over. Like, I don't know. I think there's something to be said for your point of, heating a guy up and then cooling him off again that quick. I think it depends on how he loses to Joe. If he doesn't get choked out, if it's a roll up, if it's, distraction, if Swerve distracted or whoever, I think there's plenty of reason to come back from that. But if Joe chokes him out, it might be a little bit tough.
Or if MJF does something, I don't know.
Nice fit. It makes sense. Because they've got history.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, we're hoping for the best for Wardlow because he's very talented. And I want him to see, I want to see him do well. You know how we usually knock the other company for only pushing the bigger guys and the smaller guys doesn't get anything. AEW, it feels like it's the exact opposite. If you weigh more than 180 pounds, you're doomed.
That's actually not a bad point. It's not a bad point. Yeah, because I think they've got more super heavyweights without titles and not in major storylines that they do the smaller guys.
I mean, because Orange Cassidy is kind of AEW's Roman Reigns. So
yeah, he's got that orange punch, right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a legit Taekwondo maneuver. It's the real thing. Don't anybody tell you differently. It's not something they just made up in WWE. So yeah, I've seen it thrown in live competition, and it's like scary. It's scary. You know what I mean? Dude gets up off the mat and he's coming down like, holy, even with headgear on, it's like, oh my God, he's going to kill him. So yeah, it's a legit move. But I see your point. I mean, yeah, back in the days when everybody in WWE was 300 plus pounds, it seems like, and that's all they did.
Yeah.
And then, hey, steroids, we better stop doing steroids, huh? So then everybody got real small real quick, Yeah. Makes sense.
Shane says, I love the Swerve Hangman feud. It's just like Jerry Lawler versus Eddie Gilbert. It's old school. I've enjoyed it as well.
Hardcore, yeah.
Next up, we have a title change. We have the International Championship. Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong. We have a new champion, Roderick Strong. And then somebody made his triumphant return. Kyle O'Reilly came into the ring, gave Roddy a hug, looked like he had been crying his eyes out for days, and then just walked away. He refused the Undisputed Kingdom shirt first, let me say that.
Mm-hmm.
And then walked away. That was weird.
He whispered something to him as well.
Oh, that's right. That was weird. I don't know what the match itself was good, but that afterwards, I was scratching my head. I was like, okay, what's happening here? Is Kyle O'Reilly okay? He looks like he hasn't slept in a really long time.
Doesn't he always look like that, to be fair? Doesn't he always look like that? He had
dark circles under his eyes, and he was like, and I'm like, what is going on?
One of the Chads, I got two Chads that watch the main event. One asked about Kyle O'Reilly almost every time I went live. So he'll be happy now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love little moments of we don't know what happened. I hate that the Undertaker whispering to Bray Wyatt went absolutely freaking nowhere. Like it's like you're planting seeds. Let's let these things grow. So I like when seeds are planted. We'll see if they do anything with it in this company. But I thought the match was excellent. Roddy Strong is freaking great. He's been great for a long time. My God, he's so good. I love that stupid god awful mustache he has. And you know that he knows it's stupid and god awful, and they all think it too, but it's funny to look at. And Orange is freaking great. I people can think what they want. I don't really care. The guy hasn't proven himself to you by now. I don't know what more. I don't know what more he's supposed to do. Is he supposed to, lose an arm in the ring? What more has he got left? Like he's, and the great story about Orange is he can lose any time, and it doesn't matter because the story on him has been for the past year and a half now. He takes so much wear and tear, and he keeps going. He never takes a break. He never really gets injured. He's always here. He'll wrestle. They won't let him wrestle, but he demands to wrestle, and he's always bandaged up, and he's limping. He'll face anybody anytime. It's okay to beat that guy, kids. It's perfectly fine because one loss doesn't kill that character. I mean, you're almost like,
No,
cool.
Really.
Oh, cool, he lost. Let's see how they bring him back because they're going to bring him back,
Right.
Yeah.
He's not my favorite. I'm gonna be honest. He's not my favorite, but I don't hate him, and I do find him entertaining at times. And I definitely don't think he's a bad wrestler. Yeah, he's just not my cup of tea, to be honest.
That's fair.
But it's just more of a preference thing than it is a that guy's horrible thing. So
yeah, that's fair. When that company first started and I saw Orange for the first time, I thought, I want this company to work, but I cannot believe this guy's getting put on TV. I am stunned by this. And then I just got out of myself and just started watching. And I'm like, all right, I kind of love this. Like, we've been watching the 7-foot zombie summon lightning from the rafters, and his 7-foot brother bring fire from the turnbuckles, and we don't
say anything.
We just say, oh, and they sit up and no sell, and we go, oh, all right. I mean, Road Warrior Hawk would take a pile driver and got right back up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, if we're willing to accept some things, and plus when one of the things I think that helped Orange, at least with the fans, is very early on, they made it clear on the commentary, these are mind games. And I think once you say that, you can cover a multitude of sins with a wrestler. You can cover any stupid gimmick. You can cover anything that looks or sounds goofy. Doesn't matter. You can always say he's playing mind games. And once you look at it through those glasses, it becomes, no pun intended. Once you look at it through those glasses, it becomes, oh, I get it. They're feeding into it. Like, of course he feels pain. Of course he's not this chill. It's just what he does to mess with people. Like, I'm sold after that.
Right.
Yeah.
And he kind of has everything, and he's kind of good at everything too, not just like the wrestling part. And he has shown that he's actually an impelling character when he does talk. He doesn't talk very much, but when he does, he's very entertaining.
So
And
fun.
he's great to listen to. And when the time calls for it, he can be serious, and he is serious. So I think that we give Orange Cassidy more flack than he deserves. Sometimes I'm critical of him too. Like I said, he's not my cup of tea, but I can definitely understand where people are coming from. And you also have to kind of get out of your little pro wrestling bubble thoughts too. I have a very chill, casual fan that I live with, and I just watch what he reacts to. And he's sitting over there laughing and having a good time when Orange Cassidy comes on. He thinks that those little kicks are so funny. I asked him, I was like, what's your favorite thing that Sting has done in AEW? And he goes, well, besides that table spot, he goes, that little silly kick exchange that he did with Orange Cassidy was really funny. So,
and
he's
again,
appealing to everybody.
Yeah. And again, for anybody bashing him, Sting's an all-time Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Pac. You like Pac, you respect Pac, Pac does that exchange too. I mean, it's that thing of, well, we hate somebody. His peers don't hate him. It doesn't matter. I hate him. Okay. All right. Whatever, man. Like, that's what makes you happy and helps you sleep at night. But yeah, I love watching the guy. I think he's hilarious. And it's, to your point about the promos, it's just so freaking good. Like, I forget who it was. It was like 4 of them backstage, arguing about who's going to get a title shot. And he just walks into frame, never looks at them, and just looks at the camera. And he's like, y'all talking about me? Y'all talking about this? And he holds the belt up, and I'm like, I freaking love this guy because it's so ridiculous. He's so chill. Doesn't matter what you say. He's like, all right, we'll wrestle. I don't care. And he just walks off. Love it.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, talking about fights. This was a fight. FTR versus BCC, Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. I loved every bit of this match. It might be one of my favorites. Of course, I might say that about all of them. I don't know.
Good.
It was so good. And Moxley wasn't the one who bled in this. It was Dax.
Shocking.
Yeah. So
you see that guy in the crowd that said Mox, bleed on my sign or something, or bleed on me. So good.
Bleed on me. That's funny.
So good. What I love about this little mini feud, whatever we're calling this, it's not going anywhere. We don't care about titles. We're not really caring about who's the best. What's this mean for this guy if he loses? I don't know if any of that matters at all. It's just, hey, you like to wrestle. We like to wrestle. Why don't we just wrestle? Like, that's what the business a lot of times can be, and it's okay. It doesn't always have to be for a title or title placement. It can be, man, this would be a hoss fight. Let's watch it. Like, I love it. I mean, FTR proved their toughness time after time, and Mox is the epitome of a walking piece of sandpaper. The guy he's nothing. I mean, he's abrasive, and he can take anything you throw at him, and he's still there. I mean, it's crazy. And Claudio, whose gimmick doesn't really fit that, but it fits anyway.
I know.
Just because he's so insanely strong. It's not upset me, but what kind of got me is Excalibur kept calling that the Doomsday Device. It wasn't Doomsday Device. He hit him with a spinning back elbow off the top or spinning back forearm off the top, like the uppercut.
Yeah.
Which is hard enough to do standing up. Mm-hmm. Like, but off the top rope. So good. And then Mox and Claudio with the Road Warriors spikes. Are you kidding me? Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. I thought that was a nice little touch because they were picking on FTR about, drawing off the Midnight Express and everything. You're like, oh, well, if you want to come out as your favorite tag team, we will too. So I popped big time for that.
That was fun.
It's funny because on his own, Claudio kind of comes off as the polished wrestler, right? He's shiny, you can see your reflection in his work. And then, Moxley beside him is a little bit more muddied up. He's just scrappy and he'll just do whatever it takes, to take care of his opponent, I guess you would say. And it somehow works. I can't explain how it does, but it does. And I actually love those two together.
I do too. I just think they fit. I think that, again, for me, that faction is, and honestly, I'm okay if they add a new member. I mean, for anybody, and I feel like I keep talking to people who hate this company. Like, it's not my job to defend them. What am I doing? Right. But like, for anybody that wants to attack them, there are too many factions. Have you ever watched New Japan? It's no one that watches that company says, it's too many factions. You want to know why? Because it's good. It's fun. It's entertaining. It makes for fun matches and fun storylines and angles. Like, it's okay.
There's too many factions in AEW.
I've heard that. Oh, well, it's just one of the many arrows people will fire at that company whenever they feel like it. You know what I mean? So, like,
everybody say hi to Dad.
I thought he was going to come back in and out like a ghost.
Right.
Yeah, you got your dad. I got Sting shadowing me right now, but you got your dad in real life. So, yeah. But, I think they're great together. I'd be okay if they added a new member. And it came to me during the show of somebody that could join that team and be taken seriously immediately. And now for life of me, I can't remember who it was. I think it's time to put a woman in BCC. I think they're way past due.
I think they have like teased maybe Marina Shafir at some time joining them.
Blah, nah.
That's
There's some, yeah, and you know, Mrs. Strong. That's Mrs. Strong to you kids.
right.
She again missing something.
Yeah.
It's just one guy. What's it matter? But like, I don't know. And honestly, I think that she knows there's something not there. Don't know if she'll ever find it. The thing of her, she sits on the steps and throws her socks in the crowd. Why? Like, she's working barefoot, which is, unless you're Kevin Von Erich's, probably never a good idea. Like, you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know who I would use.
Sounds like she's throwing the spaghetti on the wall and seeing if it sticks.
I think they've always, and by they I mean it could be her too, have always kind of done that with her. They didn't really know, how does she fit in? What does she do? How do we portray her? I don't know. I don't know. And if it's not her joining BCC, I don't know what woman it would be. But
Serena Deeb.
Serena Deeb's awesome. I love her. I think she'd fit just fine. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll have to see what they do. And of course, I just love FTR. I love tag team wrestling.
Yeah, same.
And I know I'm probably going to take some people off by saying this, but they're my favorite tag team of all time. I'm just going to say
that's fair. Nothing wrong with that. You can like who you want to like.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they just do that perfect marriage of modern day wrestling and old school, and it just goes. We're just lovely little togetherness.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
They're awesome. Do you have a prediction of where all this is going to end up, or this is the second match, right? First match was time limit draw.
Mm-hmm.
This match BCC went over.
Mm-hmm.
So third match FTR go over, and that's the end of the feud, maybe.
I don't know. These two teams could wrestle for the next 6 months, and I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
It'd be even better if they decided to do one like at Collision on Thursday or something. Just throwing that out there, you know.
Yeah. It's like Lucha Bros versus House of Black. You could just keep running that feud forever and it'd be fine, you know?
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
Shane says, speaking of New Japan, please go watch Will Ospreay's last match in New Japan against the Bullet Club War Dogs. It's a must-watch for any wrestling fan. I have not seen it. I'm sure.
Let me spoil it for you. I'll spoil it for you.
Sure.
Ospreay went out on his back.
He
went out on his back. And the match was effing nuts. It was crazy. Steel cage match in New Japan, which you don't see all that much. It was crazy. Those guys threw everything they had at that match, and man, it was fun. Ospreay did the honors himself, which is cool. Pretty sure Shane wasn't Ospreay the one that took the pin, or am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong about who actually got pinned. I could be wrong on that. But I know United Empire didn't win the match, but yeah, he was in tears. It was an awesome match.
Mm-hmm. Maureen says, I think Marina Shafir Mox has been really high on her and is mentoring her. Yeah, I heard that too. That's why I said her name.
I mean, look, if it's a good fit, it's a good fit. And for all I know, she blends right in. I love the idea of factions that serve different purposes. I love the factions that, you know, here's our cruiserweight, here's our big guy, here's our female wrestler, here's our tag team. I love that idea. You know what I mean? I think that's money.
All right, speaking of the women, the women's match was next with Timeless Toni Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo. My goodness, is Toni Storm doing best gimmick in wrestling right now?
Absolutely. No question. I don't, again, argue with who you want to argue with. Don't bring it to my door because you'll just be told you're wrong. I love her. She's, you know, try walking into a business that's been around since 1900, however long it's been.
Mm-hmm.
Try to do something different. Go ahead and tell me how hard it is. Incredibly hard. And in 2024, probably on one hand, you can name people who are doing it differently. I always go back to Danhausen because I think Danhausen's doing something I've never seen before. Danhausen's one, Tony Storm's one. I mean, Orange Cassidy maybe to a point, yeah. I mean, there's only a few, in my opinion, who are not just a retread or a tribute act or whatever. No disrespect to anyone that is. If it works for you, it works for you. But I mean, Storm is wholly original. Like,
Yeah.
man, breathe new life into it, which is not always easy for a woman to do.
Right.
Honestly, it's just because you got to depend on the company, to the machine to get behind you. You got to depend on, is anyone going to buy it? You know, it's, for me, everything's so much harder for women in the business as it is in a lot of other places because the world is dumb. And we cater everything to the male ego side of it. But I think Tony Storm is just, when they did that split screen, like this side's gray, black and white, this side's color. Yeah, it deserves an Oscar. Are you kidding me? For real?
That was very creative. Very creative.
Good. So good. Yeah.
Yeah, usually with the women's division, it's either they're like, they lean in like, I'm pretty, or I'm athletic, or, you know, I might do a little bit of the spooky stuff. You know, it's usually nothing like this where they totally put their fingers into a real character and just go 100% all into it. And she has. Were you did Mariah May fool you there for a half a second? Because she
looked great.
Yeah.
She looked great. I couldn't believe how well she pulled that off. And the crowd popped too, man. They loved it. And there's
like, oh, I did. I was like, oh, is she going to come out as...
Wait a minute. Yeah.
And I was like, she looks a little bit skinnier in certain areas. I don't think that's her. Yeah, it's Mariah May. That was
so
great.
Well done. You know, we're talking about the heel and babyface thing before with BCC. I can't figure out Deonna to save my life. Like, she comes down to the ring doing that thing, the way she walks, and then she'll look at the fans and go like that at them. And I'm like, aren't you face there, Deonna? What are you doing exactly? I don't know. And you have to know your opponent is so over. You can't just do that at fans. Whatever you want to do, I guess. But like, it's little stuff like that I see in that kind of that. I can't say I disconnect, but it makes me kind of scratch my head a little bit and go, I don't really know why we're doing that. Why, like, read the room. You're facing someone who's supposed to be a heel, but she's wildly popular. So, I don't know. I thought the connection with the tattoo was great, or the tattoo, I should say. The connection over that was awesome, and it humanized it to a certain degree. But it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't know if they're done, but the right person won the match, in my opinion. I think it was a good match.
Yeah, I don't think it's time to take that title off of Tony Storm, and it might be a while before it is. Say that this is, I don't think it's the last we see of these two, but say it is. What do you do with Deonna after she's finished with Tony Storm? Where do you go?
You can always pivot her toward Julia if you have to, or if you want to. You know? I mean, it's an option. But yeah, she's so good. And plus, you know, has she went through the roster of female challengers. She's wrestled some women here and there, but there's still some matches she hasn't had yet. And if anyone's going to take that title off Tony, if a baby face is going to take that title off of Tony and get a pop, it's going to be Mercedes Moné. Yes. I just don't know who else it could be. But I think Tony would have to get, not have to, but it'd be nice if she got a little bit more ruthless going into that.
Okay.
So she's left a bad taste in people's mouths. Like, man, she's kind of fun, but that was kind of a jerk thing she did last week or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah. So since we do have, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
We do have Mercedes Moné coming in about a week or two-ish, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, she's going to be, if not the biggest star of that division, maybe of the whole company. I don't know. one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you automatically launch her into the title picture, or do you do something with her first? What would you do with her? Because I don't, on one hand, I'm like, I don't want to see Tony lose the title yet. I want to see her do more with it. But on the other hand, what do you do with Mercedes until it's that time?
It's an interesting question. If
Do you
Jade had
maybe
not,
bring Britt Baker back into the picture? And she's the only one that I can think of that has an established character in the women's division that can be up there or pretty close to her at this point.
I think you'd done so much work with Jade that had Jade not left, that would have been the perfect choice. Because even though people cheered Jade, they would not have cheered her over Mercedes.
No.
Tony, people really love Tony, man. That's why I mean you'd have to really heel her out. So I don't know if they have a heel woman that's really just despicable. I mean, Julia will get booed against Mercedes, 100%. But to your point, should they go that route? I don't know. Like, but if they don't, you know, you're going to pay her a bunch of money to come in and not work for the title as soon as she gets there, which is fine. But you got to put her against somebody that she can draw money with, and who's that person going to be? It's a good question.
Britt Baker's the only one I can think of.
And Britt's sitting at home doing nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Britt's got issues in and of herself. There's stuff there with her in that locker room, and there's various things that are keeping her from maybe not being on TV, but she's not very well liked, which I can tell you that 100%. But yeah, I agree with you. And had Britt been on TV the past 6 months and been notoriously heel, yeah, it's a good match. It's still a good match, but
I'm 2 years ago, Britt Baker was the only person at FanFest who sold out her meet and greets.
Wow.
Yeah. The FanFest I went to, she was the only one who sold out.
Crazy.
So she was hot there for a while, and people wanted to see her. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a little sad that I never got Jade versus Britt Baker, because I think that maybe not the match itself, but the character, the story that between those two larger than life characters on screen would have been very entertaining and fun to watch, and something that I thought the women's division could have really used.
Man, think back about year one of AEW and how rough Britt looked.
Yeah.
Britt was not smooth. And you talk about someone that came through that, like, you're either going to get better or you're going to fold like a cheap suit, right?
Yeah.
She definitely got better. I got so much respect for her in that regard, as somebody that's like, you know, whether I'm right or not, I don't know, but like it just kind of felt like, yeah, there's some issues here that, you know, she needs some work, and man, she definitely got it. I mean, she came a long way in a short amount of time, I believe.
And I like the fact that the fans were starting to turn on her a little bit, because every time she came on the screen, JR had to announce that she was a dentist. And then she was like, you know what? We're just going to embrace this, and I'm just going to throw it in your face and just bask in all of that hate and just run with it. So, you know, if she didn't do that, I don't know if it would have even worked out for her and her character.
Real life sells. People care about real life. It matters so much. And there's some exceptions, you know, Taker or whatever, Bray Wyatt, I get it. You know, real life tends to really, really make a difference for a lot of people in that business. I mean, you know, Britt's one of them. Fans care a lot about the real story. So, yeah.
Shane says, David, I'm guessing he means Finlay. David Finlay covered Ospreay for the win.
Yeah, I couldn't remember who took the. See, there you go. And you know, maybe Gato asked him to go out. I'll bet Will said, "I'll go out on my back. I have no problem with it." Which, good on him. You know.
Sheree is here. Hello, Sheree. Hey, Marie and Tom and everyone in Wrestling Land. Hello.
How are you?
Shane says Mariah May is awesome. I want to see her versus Britt Baker or Ruby Soho. Interesting. Ruby Soho is going out on dates with that Parker guy, so she's busy.
Yeah. With his switchblade comb.
Yeah. Oh, our peach Sarah is here. Hello, my dear.
I thought she didn't like me anymore. She never showed up. And there she is, finally.
Cherie says, oh my goodness, Tori's backstage interview afterwards had me rolling. Wendy Richter, I will miss you.
That's awesome.
Oh man, I love that.
It works because she believes it. Yeah. Right? Eugene would never have worked had he not believed it. Santino would never have worked. Adrian Street would never have worked had he broken character in the ring. It just would never have worked. Yeah. But because, Adrian was one of the most hated heels in wrestling because obvious reasons. It was a different time and gay people were they were evil or whatever. And people booed him, but then it became, man, he's fun to watch. I can't help but cheer for him. So the more the more the entertainer, the wrestler believes what they're doing, because fans are waiting for them to wink. And the minute they wink at the camera, forget it. You lose all credibility. So as long as Tony's not winking at the camera.
Yeah.
And I don't think she will. It's awesome.
I don't think she will either.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. That's why R-Truth has worked for so long.
Great pull. Truth has never looked at the ref and said, I got him going, didn't I? Never. I mean, can you imagine? It's over at that point. And the illusion is shattered. We don't all think R-Truth's a friggin' idiot. We know he's not. But man, it's cool to kind of pretend maybe he is, right? Let's just keep imagining he's an idiot. I love that.
This will never happen, but just imagine how hilarious it would be if he showed up at AEW and went, where is everybody? Who are you? Where am I?
If he ever ever left that company for whatever reason and signed for a year or whatever it was with AEW, his first promo out the gate should be that he comes out and doesn't know what company he's in. And if I were Tony, I'd say, do it, go, just do it. I think that would be one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it would be.
So
there was a little social media video that they put out of him going into Shawn Michaels's office, and he's like, "Oh, Johnny Gargano, you and Ciampa are doing great. I know you're going to be the next HBK." And Shawn's just looking at him and he closes the door.
Oh, because he called Gargano and Ciampa Shawn and Triple H, right? At some point.
So now he called Shawn Gargano.
So good. Love him.
It is. Well, since everybody is biting at the bit to talk about Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. A lot of people are touting this as the match of the night, or one of them anyway. It was good. It was good. It was very fast, and it was a lot of fun to watch. And Will Ospreay is all elite. I'm excited to see what he does.
I loved it. You just thought it was good? Is that your take on it? It's good?
It's not my style, but
really,
it's good. Yeah.
Why is that?
I'm not a bounce type. That's just me.
Yeah, that's fair. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I think to the extent to which we can suspend disbelief over certain things, and it's like, oh, there are no selling moves. I'm like, they're not 40. They're not bandaged up. They're not, you know what I mean? Like, if Sting no-sold every bump he took when he got to AEW, at some point you're going to go, all right, that's enough, But these guys are in their prime. Takeshita's maybe not even at his prime yet. Yeah. So I'm not suggesting we don't make the match look real, but some of that I personally can get past. I understand some people can't, but I freaking love Ospreay, man. He's won me over because I wasn't always sold myself. he and Takeshi need to wrestle like a lot because man, that was crazy fun. I mean, him and I'm forgetting his name from United Empire, Kyle Fletcher.
Kyle Fletcher. Mm-hmm.
They're gonna kill it. Kyle Fletcher is so freaking good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna slay, you know. And the great thing about Osprey is, like a lot of other talent, he doesn't need to work for the title. You can put him anywhere on the card. He can jerk the curtain. He can be middle of the match. He can be main event, and he will threaten to destroy the entire night by outshining everybody.
That is true.
I think there's moments when you have to be maybe a little bit careful with that philosophy, right? There is such a thing as the old school frame of mind that says, we're going to slow down here. Main event's coming up, and that main event's going to be fire, and we don't want to take away from it. So, there's two sides to the story. There's that side, and then there's the side of we're all trying to outdo each other, and let's have the best match of the night. And if we're all trying to do that, we're going to have a great show. So I can see both sides of it.
Well, this was
love it.
kind of perfectly placed, though, because the next match it wasn't too slow, but it wasn't a million miles an hour either. So
Sure.
after this one going, the other one, kept everybody entertained, but it did bring them down just a little bit to like here. And we're all happy right here. And then, of course, everybody was ready for Sting. So we just went blah.
Yeah.
All together. This match, everybody was on their feet, but it didn't like completely, make everybody, just do 10 flips or anything. They did, I think they did have a mindset of, okay, we're not going to take everything away from Sting. So, so I don't think that they just completely took the night away. So kudos to them for doing that.
Yeah.
Because they probably could have if they
yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
people lied to me, by the way.
Uh-oh.
Y'all lied to me. Y'all said that Will Ospreay has no character and all he does is go in there and run around and flip around and do all this crazy stuff. That dude has character and he's fun to listen to. So I don't know what you're talking about.
let me venture a guess and say that other wrestling pundits have filled your head full of shenanigans and nonsense. Look, it's okay for people to have opinions, but when you disregard things that are right in front of you, whether I don't care who the you is, I question whether or not you have any business even talking about anything at this point.
Right.
Go take a nap. Like,
right.
There's plenty of people I don't care to watch. I can admit that they're a good talent. I can admit they have charisma. I can admit a lot of things. They're just not for me. To look at Ospreay and say that he's one-dimensional is it's dismissing someone because look, can we be frank? It's dismissing someone because they don't work for the company you love the most.
Yeah.
And I don't really give a crap who that offends. Don't care. Bring it. Okay. That's just bottom line. Plenty of people know the company that I thoroughly enjoy their work. I just don't watch the company. That's just how it is. And that's me, right? But again, for anyone to look at Ospreay and say he's one, come on, man. You can not like him. You can say you don't like his gear. You can say you don't like his attitude. You can say you don't like the flips. I get it. But to say that it's like at this point, people look at Orange Cassidy and say that he can't blah, blah. Stop. I'm over it. Like there's been enough time put in, enough things have been proven. Come on, wake up.
Orange Cassidy is almost all character, so that doesn't even work for him.
No, and again, people fire the arrows they want to fire because it's on their agenda. And when things become talking points, 100 people will get behind a talking point, whether they believe it or not. They'll just keep throwing it around amongst themselves. At that point, you're just talking head, and I don't have any respect for that. So.
Yeah. If your whole point of watching a show is to be able to react to it, especially negatively, that's what I call hate watching. Why do that?
Why do that?
Why do that? If I don't like something, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah.
I don't watch horror films because I don't like them.
Yeah, same. It's not for me.
I'm sorry. I don't like death matches. So I now decided to put my mental health at up front and go, okay, yes, I have a podcast. Yes, I write and do all these things. But guess what? I'm more important than those things. So I'm not going to watch a death match anymore because it's not good for me. So.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're a person that loves those things and loves to hate watch and loves to be negative, do what you want to do. It's a free country. I don't care. But like, you know, this. You've been doing this long enough by now. When you look and sound like everybody else, why would anybody care? Why would anybody care? I'm not going to watch a show or listen to a show where 2 of the 4 guys hate every freaking thing they watched. Like, why am I doing that to myself? Like, it's not for me. It's not. Yeah.
And let me say, let's get a little bit more positive now to Keshta. If they wanted to, I know he's just going with Don Callis and everything and probably want to let that work itself out. But my goodness, if they wanted to, he would be a great baby face.
Oh
my goodness. He's got the facial expressions. Oh my goodness. He could do it. And just let him be himself too. I don't know if you have ever followed him on Twitter, but just let him, love Cinnabons and ride his bike, and people would just love that. They would gravitate towards that, because who wouldn't want to just hang out and eat a Cinnabon and go bike riding? So
he I can't disagree with the thing you said. And also, again, back to the weird heel face dynamic. Don Callis is an absolute piece of human waste. I mean, the character, everybody relax. The character of Don Callis. Some people may say the real guy is, I don't know. But, piece of crap, right? But like, Will Ospreay's a freaking baby face, man. Like, and he's still working for Don, supposedly. So like, again, there's weird stuff at play. And I think it's just going to lead to Ospreay finally looking at Don and saying, I think I'm moving on, bruv. You're fired. Or whatever he's going to say.
Well, they've already planted those seeds, because I don't know if you saw Ospreay's face when Don Callis hugged him, but he kind of had like this, like, ugh. Yeah. Okay, well, we're just going with this right now.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It'll be fun to watch.
It will. Shane says, Ospreay versus Switchblade Jay White. Can't wait for it. AEW, please make the match. Jay White, bless his heart. I'm sorry, I don't like him with the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. I can't stand it.
He's stepping out. They teased it Sunday. He's stepping out. Don't know what that means yet, but
okay. I didn't get to see 0 Hour, so I'm like, yeah, please.
He cut a promo at the end that's highly suggestive that he's going to be stepping out. And look, Shane, you're not wrong. At the same time, if you're not going to put a big money player in a title hunt, he needs something to do. And the Bang Bang Scissor Gang is over to the moon, and people can't get enough of it. Gets him on TV. He's in a good spot. Heck of a lot better than not being on TV with nothing to do. And you can always, he's one of those guys that you can press start on anytime you want to. You can put him against Joe for the title, and no one's going to go, that guy? Nah. Everyone knows what Jay can do,
Alma's here, and she's saying hello and hoping we're having a good evening, and she's giving Sting a lot of love there. Nothing but love for Sting here.
100%.
Oh, goodness gracious. Timothy, you have to be so rude.
Haha.
Rude.
It's funny.
Rude.
That's some red faces, man. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, if Bryan Danielson can get over it and admit to his faults for doubting Eddie Kingston, maybe we all can.
If I can change, he can change. We all can change. Yeah. It's my Rocky quote for the night. So.
All right, next up, we have the AEW World Championship with Samoa Joe versus Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland. It was good. It was a lot of fun.
Good. Yeah.
Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland, they have been going on forever, and I'm not tired of it yet. And that's saying something in this day and age.
It is.
where we have a 2-second, attention span nowadays, where a
Paige.
minute long YouTube videos are too long. And
It's true.
so, a 6-month, feud might sound like a lot, but it's been great. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, Paige rocking the Magnum TA mustache, and it wasn't lost on me. He hit the belly-to-belly suplex in Greensboro. That was not lost on me. I caught that.
Okay.
So very well done. And this is what I was getting to earlier. Swerve, is he the next world champion? Hopefully. Is he the next world champion? Maybe. But like, again, I don't know how many people behind the scenes are sitting down with a legal pad going, let's talk about this. Do you remember when he said something? And who knows? But like, this guy broke into Paige's home and stood over his baby's crib.
Yeah.
And we all forgot that because we love Swerve. But at some point,
Not on Peaches and Power Bombs, we haven't.
well, there you go. In my opinion, this is just Tom. At some point, Swerve cuts a promo and says, look, I made a lot of mistakes with Hangman. I did stuff I regret, stuff I shouldn't have done. I was wrapped up. I was too caught up in my own ego. Maybe I shouldn't have done those things. But Paige, you're taking it too far now. You know what I mean? At least acknowledge, hey, I did what's tantamount to, it's breaking and entering. I'm going to go to jail for this, but I don't care. The fans are going, we don't care either. Do it again.
Yeah,
I don't know. I kind of feel like you don't need to address anything, right? But in my head, take 10 seconds out of a promo and acknowledge, yeah, I went too far. I pushed it too far. I don't know. I don't know if they'll care enough to circle back to that or not, but that's kind of why it felt like he can't go over Sunday, because it kind of feels like when he does go over, it should be clean in terms of there wasn't any weird stuff to get him there. Like he deserves a path to the championship that any other guy would get. That's just me talking,
Yeah. I think they'll eventually get there. They did have that nice little spot where Prince Nana was trying to hand him something, and I can't remember what it was. And he said, no, I'm going to win this myself. And it backfires on him. And but no. Hangman took the pin, not him. But anyway, it still didn't work out. And Nana might be looking at him sideways, being like, "Are you sure you don't need me?" But at the same time, I don't want Nana leaving him though, because that whole dynamic is just too perfect.
So good. I didn't care much for Nana when he was in Ring of Honor originally. He was okay, but talk about a guy that found something that works. Like, it so works, man.
And him using that dance to like give Swerve his strength back, like Paul Bearer used to do with the urn with the Undertaker. That's his. That's where he gets his power from, is the Nana dance.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny.
So good. And Swerve is a great heel. He's also a great baby face. The guy can do anything. And, I want it to eventually become that, he's a great world champion. But that company has yet to crown an African-American world champion. So until that time comes, that's going to be a talking point. And that's fine. But I think that needs to become the norm more than the exception.
Yes.
Which is why when you put it on an African-American champion, you don't beat him in 30 seconds. And then you don't beat his partner in the same 30 seconds, a year apart, 2 years apart. Maybe don't do that. I don't know. Just me talking. So, yeah. But we'll see. Swerve's going to be an amazing champion when he gets it. And he's earned it. He's absolutely earned it. He's put his time in. Everything he does looks good. He put on the right amount of weight in the right places and muscle mass. And he just looks fantastic. He can work anybody on the roster. I'm looking forward to Swerve versus Okada. That's going to be a fun match. Kidding me.
Yeah. I like Samoa Joe as world champion. I think he brings a different dynamic than anybody else has. He just has that, I don't know, that maniacal poise, I guess you would say, to
It
him.
does.
And I really like that. I mean, we've had heel champions before, but not that really dominant, you know, I don't I don't know how to word it. You know what I'm talking about though.
Yeah, he's an assassin. Joe's an
Yes.
assassin. You could put him in a 3-piece suit and he could be a hitman in a movie. He's perfect.
Yeah.
He's just stone cold. I mean, you can't. He can growl when he needs to growl. He doesn't need to do any of that. He doesn't need to yell.
No.
He just gets his point across and he does his talking in the ring. Just think about, they set him down at the commentary table and said, "This is your job now," and we're all at home going, "Why is Joe doing commentary all the time? What's going
Yeah.
on here?"
Although he was great at that.
Very
But
good. Yeah. But like, look at him now. You know what I mean?
I
It's
know.
like, let's sit Randy Savage down and call him a color commentator. What? You know, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to me. Not
Yeah.
my call, but like, yeah, I'm a big Joe guy. Always have been. I mean, he's someone that I would submit has been different. Not the barefoot Samoan who paints his face and wears the wild outfits. If that's your shtick, that's fine.
Yeah.
He doesn't growl instead of speaking. He's very eloquent.
Yes.
He defies stereotypes, honestly. So like,
Mhm.
I love that about him. Always have.
I for once it was like there's always like this little thing in pro wrestling that the characters always seem to ignore, and I'm just sitting there like going, it's blatantly obvious, they're gonna do this, and it's funny that his character sees right through that and always calls it out. Like, and he got right in their face before that, before the match, before Sunday, and he goes, "I know what's going to happen. You think that you're going to pin him for my title and you're going to pin him for my title? I don't think so. I'm going to take care of both of you." I was like, finally, someone that, not really like going, "Hey, this is the fourth wall," or anything. Let's look behind the curtain, but just calling out that part of pro wrestling. I don't know. He always seems to look through, and just calls it down the middle for what it is. And I don't know. He's just been refreshing to me.
I love it. Yeah, you're 100% right. And he made a case Sunday for, "I handle my business. Those two guys are done. They're done." I mean, when your champ is handling his business the way Joe does, you can always do a return match, but it's like, why?
Right.
Didn't he handle his business? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why are we doing another match? So like, you can book Joe that way and it's not
Yeah.
a deal breaker. Sometimes with
Swerve-
heel champions, you can't do that.
Swerve has an argument, but Hangman really doesn't, but Swerve does.
It's fair.
What do you do with Hangman Page after this?
I think him and Swerve are going to keep going. I don't know what they're heading toward, but it feels like they're not done. And if you're wanting to do a double turn, which I submit they have not done, despite what some people say,
They've hinted at it.
they've hinted at it. Yeah, but I think something, again, how are you going to match? How are you going to match? I broke into the guy's house and stood over his baby. How do you match that intensity?
For real.
Maybe they can find a way. If they do, we'll see. But I think that match will end in a cage. Will end in a death match. Will end in, hopefully C4 that goes off when it's supposed to. I don't know, but we'll see.
Eddie Kingston will come in and save you from the. Sorry.
They did such a. By the way, side note, they did such an excellent job of explaining that. It was one of the best covers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like Eddie's saying that, things kicked in for me and I was in the moment and I froze and his explanation is I wasn't there when it happened. I had checked out. I was, I'm like, oh my God, that's freaking brilliant. That's,
Yeah.
you don't have to say anything else. I'm sold. Had Eddie not had a real life history of things that he's been open and honest about, never would have worked. But it was beautiful, and they handed it in a promo that wasn't live in the ring where they could be laughed at. It was cut before and recorded, and when it played on the screens, fans chuckled with them and had fun with it. Yeah. And I'm like, you can't really cover that up, so just explain it the best way you can. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty great. I think Hangman and Strickland's going to just be one of those legendary feuds, and that it's never actually going to be over. We're just going to be brewing in the back, and then maybe bring it to light every now and then.
Yeah.
And I think those two worked so well together. I've enjoyed it so much. You almost don't want it to end either.
And it's a blood feud, and every time you put them against each other, it can get gruesome. Look up, who is it? Brad Armstrong and Buzz Sawyer. Talk about, and Shane will know, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
Talk about a blood feud that went on for a long time. Like those two guys were, and every time they touched, it was gruesome. But man, it sold tickets and people loved it. And it was, there's only a few select feuds like that you can recall off the top of your head where it's like, man, every time they got in the ring, I had to watch it. I didn't have a choice. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
It is time for the part that everybody has been waiting for.
Nice.
Sting's last match, Tornado Tag Team for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Sting and Darby Allin versus Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the EVPs, the Young Bucks, whatever you want to call them. Wow, this was a roller coaster.
Loved it.
And Sting, Darby Allin took that one crazy spot through the glass, and everyone had a conniption fit. And yes, it was brutal, and it looked like it hurt a whole lot. But I think that was not real glass, was it? There was no way that was real glass.
I mean, I can't sit here and swear to it, but I've always assumed they use candy glass. Okay. Every time they have glass spots. I mean, you are legitimately putting someone's life in danger if you use actual glass. I mean,
exactly. That's what I thought. I mean, not to say that was fun.
No,
but
it was enough to gash his back open, so it cut. It's kind of like when you see barbed wire in a match. It's not all really barbed wire, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. Some of it is sawed off or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we're not really trying to kill each other. So, but yeah, it's, I freaking love this so much. And people can hate on the Bucks for any reason they want to. It's fine. Those guys, who do you put against the veteran on his last night and his younger partner who's a daredevil? You don't put two 50-year-old guys. You don't put super heavyweights. It would have been okay, I guess, but you put the guys that everyone loves to hate. They can still go. They're still quick. They're smug. They're cocky. They can take bumps, crazy bumps if they need to. They can make you look so good. They did everything they were supposed to in this match, and they sent Sting off in a parade. I mean, it was phenomenal, and again, when Sting got that pin, I'm like, oh my God, they won. I can't believe they won. Like, had they lost, it still would have been okay. Sting still could have celebrated. It would have been fine. But man, what a great ending. What a great night for him.
Absolutely. I also want to just shout out the beginning of it as well, with his sons coming out. One of them being in done up in his Surfer Sting, and then the other one coming out in his NWO Wolfpack Sting outfit. Awesome. That was a nice touch. I don't know if it could have gone any better.
I mean, Sting and Nikita and Magnum were at ringside in the crowd, which was nice. David Crockett was there. Yeah. Rick was there. Love him or hate him, I guess, but Rick was there. I mean,
Poor Rick. Poor
Yeah,
Ric Flair.
yeah.
I just feel sorry for him sometimes.
Well, I guess it depends on what we're talking about, but there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of sins that guy will never pay for, which is unfortunate.
No.
But
But
he's barely moving at this point. But
yeah.
I think everybody that needed to be there was there.
Yeah.
I love that buckle bomb in WWE was not the last we saw of this guy.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Oh my goodness.
just imagine with doing nothing but with doing table spots and diving off thing. What could he have done in the other company that was just wrestling? That was just wrestling. Like, how many matches did we not get? I mean, I go back to him and Taker were in the back together.
Yeah.
What? Like, there's pictures of them side by side in their gear. How do you not book this? How do they not on camera come nose to nose? You didn't even make an effort. Oh, it kills me. It is what it is.
As someone who has always said that he loves money and he wants you to make him money, why didn't he let these two make him some money?
Taker would have went over. And I don't, just like Hunter went over. That's not, you're only serving yourself when that happens. You're not serving the business. You didn't do anything for the business. You're serving yourself. It's bottom line, because it's all about, I won the war. Don't forget I won the war. We won it. Yeah, we got it. Jesus. How can we forget? You remind us every day,
Yeah.
But like, that's a multitude of reasons. But AEW did it right. It wasn't about kissing up the Sting. It wasn't about, and honestly, again, when this story comes out and he starts cutting interviews after the fact and telling the story of his last ride, don't be surprised when it comes out that I told Tony Khan, I'll take the pin. I'm fine with that. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And Tony's like, I won't hear of it.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's already gone on record to say that the Young Bucks were his choice of last opponents.
And it's his call.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, when this first started, I was like, I wouldn't have chose this, but you know what? It's Sting and it'll be fine. The buildup was better than I ever dreamed it could be. And I'm going to give all the credit to the Young Bucks for making that happen. And they're not my favorites by any means. They're probably my least favorite, but sorry, I don't really like them, but
no worries.
It's not a I hate you as a person thing. It's more like you're just not for me whatsoever. Yeah, no
that's
actual
fair.
hate, but
that's fair.
But I was like, I don't want to see this. And then by the end of it, I was like, I really want to see this. Sting, get in there and get them, So
yeah, I mean, I'm with you. When they first announced it, I'm like, oh, well, they did all this just to put the belts back on the Bucks. Like, and honestly, I didn't get upset if that was the reason. I'm not one of those guys. Oh, let's don't forget how long those two went without ever touching the gold. Them and Omega, all three, didn't touch belts for how long? After that company started? A long time. But that wasn't why it was hitting me weird. It was hitting me weird because I was thinking, is this what they're going to do? But it's like, if we talk about, it should have been Darby versus Sting, which is what I'd said for a long time.
That's what I wanted. Not really for Darby to turn heel on Sting either, but just to have this, okay, the only thing I haven't done, Sting, is beat you. I've tagged with you. We've been to war together. The last thing I need to prove to you is to actually beat you 1, 2, 3 in the ring.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
That would have made sense. But, the story becomes, is the story still Sting rode out in a blaze of glory? Probably not.
No.
But against, with Darby at his side, who is out of the match for the last 10 minutes or whatever it was because he's bleeding to death outside.
Yeah.
Against two guys who keep delivering their finishing move to him and he keeps kicking out. Yeah. That to me is the bigger story. That is.
Yeah, it was.
He got it from that freaking table, man. I don't care how old you are. If you didn't feel that, you're dead inside. Oh my God. It was awesome. So good.
And, my goodness. And that, and people, because he's like, well, he's 63 and he kicked out of this and he jumped up from that and he got out. And I was like, this is the man's last match. And he still has the fighting spirit living within him, and that is what's fueling him to get back up. I was like, how does that not grab you right here? How does that not get you? It had me. Like, my heart was 100% in this, and Sting didn't do that alone either.
No, of course not. He would tell you that too. If Jordan had won a ring with the Wizards, then I can compare it to this. I could say that the grizzled vet, considered maybe the greatest of all time for his generation. Jordan's different. He's the greatest of all time, period, right?
Right.
But like, maybe I compare it to this. But like, you don't want to see the greatest go out on his back. You don't want to see him falling apart. I mean,
right.
Some guys wrestle till that age because they never got an education. They don't know how to do anything else.
Right.
Every morning they get up and their hands are shaking because they hurt every day they get up. They walk bow-legged because of all the surgeries, and they're constantly in pain, but they live with, they manage it. I mean, bodies are broken down. They'll be walking on a walker. There's been wrestlers in their 40s who are in a wheelchair for freak's sake because their bodies are destroyed. And like, to imagine a guy going out on his feet at that age, doing everything he did, I don't know when and if we'll ever see that again. There's, Seth, maybe guys who are in amazing shape as Sting always was. Those guys have a good chance of going out like that, I would say. But man, and something that kind of, it makes me sad that he's gone now is like, it's not like he's dead or anything, but he's one of the last pieces of connective tissue between, Crockett, the Attitude Era, and today.
Yeah.
Like, Jeff Jarrett's really the only one left that I can think of off the top of my head. He may be the only one left. Think about that. That's crazy. I literally can't think of anybody else that was around during Crockett and then the Monday Night Wars and now. I just can't think of whoever it is. I'm not thinking of them. But,
I can't think of anybody either.
Jarrett won't have this send-off. He won't.
No.
And Jarrett's done plenty for the business, but he won't have it. There's too much stuff hanging over Jarrett. There's just, I don't, in my opinion anyway, maybe I'll be wrong, but like Sting going out the way he went out, mazel tov to that company, dude. They did it. It was well done. Well done.
Alma's saying that the match was totally insane and Darby going through the glass. Yeah. It was crazy. I just hope that one day Darby doesn't go too far.
It's like Jeff, Jeff's still walking. It's amazing. Jeff's still walking.
Barely, but yeah, he's still walking.
Yeah. I mean, it's, to be able to do what you love to do and do it on your terms. Who among us can actually say that, Yeah. So good for him,
With Sting's in-ring retirement, could we see him in a general management role or a commentator? He could, but I don't know if I want to.
I don't either. No, I don't want to see it. Love him to death. Don't want to see it. I don't think we need to see it. I mean, if he were to be around, I think backstage in I don't want to say producer, but a booker or somebody that works with the talent that's not on camera. Because as long as Sting stays in shape, there's always going to be a demand for, just give us one more, just a little one, And he's just got such a commanding presence and that image of him. And I don't know how, I just don't know how you take that off and not do that when it's still him under the pain. It's still him. Like, let's just do it. Like, I don't know how you do it, man. I mean,
right.
You can. I kind of don't want to see it. I'm like you. I don't think I want to see it.
Almost saying in Ricky Morton.
We're talking about somebody that stayed in it forever?
Yeah.
That we're talking about? Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
He's with NWA, I think. Something.
Well, that's true. But no one on Sting and Jarrett's level because Ricky's not actively employed by one of the two big companies. But if he were, that's a good point.
Yeah. Well, that was AEW Revolution. This
I
is
need
my
a
favorite.
nap.
Yeah, I know. That's one of my favorite pay-per-views in a long time. That AEW has put out.
Yeah. And you know, I've had my fun with haters on this hour and some change, hour and 45, whatever it's been. But for me, the message is very simple. Like what you want to like.
Yeah.
And stop wishing for companies to go away. Okay?
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
not
wish,
good for anybody.
No. I don't wish for WWE to go away. Never have. GCW is not really for me. I don't want them to go away. You know?
No.
Like, I can admit, hey, there's things I'm not into. I don't want it to go away. Like, I'm just never going to be that person. I can't. In my younger, dumber days, I probably was that person, but like, not now, man. Like, I just don't feel that way anymore.
Mm-mm. No. No.
Alma makes a good point about staying in the Hall of Fame. I just had a thought in my head. AEW is coming up on next year. Is next year 5 years? It's this year that's 5 years. 2019 for them. What, 2018?
Yeah, it's 2019.
So I think next year, let's start that Hall of Fame, man. Sting's the first guy you put in.
Yeah.
Honestly, Brody Lee gets put in. There's any number of people that, you know, I don't know how long TNA was in business before they started theirs. But yeah, I think it's okay to do it. I mean, you know, why not?
Absolutely. All right, guys. We have held y'all up for a while, but thank you so much for staying with us and talking wrestling with us. It's been a lot of fun. Tom, let's not make it so long next time, if we can. For sure.
Thanks again for having me. It's been a blast. It makes me remember how much I miss doing this stuff live. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Guys, y'all know the drill. Like, share, subscribe the podcast. Make sure you go check Tom out and his many projects that he has going on. And let me see, what else do we have? Okay, Alma, I'll do it just for you since you asked so nicely. Here we go.
Never gets old.
Never gets old. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see y'all next time. I will be here on the Real Wrestling Community tomorrow afternoon at 5 to preview Dynamite. And I will be at Collision on Thursday, so be looking for videos from that as well. And yep, just keep following the page for updates on shows and the like. All right, guys, thank you so much. Bye. Good night, sweet peach. It's time to go. Good night, sweet peach. It's the end.